Welcome to the Home Building Hub, your essential podcast guide to building your new home. Hosted by industry experts Colin and Darren Brennan, this conversational podcast will help better educate you about all things new home building so you can avoid costly mistakes and enjoy your building experience to the fullest, no matter which home builder you choose.
Hey there folks, Colin here from the Home Building Hub, and welcome to another episode. I'm here with Darren Brennan, the co-host, and we're pretty excited, Daz. We've got a bit of a special guest on, and we want to present something special that he's created that will provide great insights, great value to our listeners. So firstly, before I introduce our special guest, how are you feeling today, Darren? You ready for this one?
Yeah, mate, absolutely. And I'm looking forward to the episode. I think, part of the growth of the podcast is to sort of expand not only our audience, but what our audience can go to for advice and information. And it's awesome to have Atul on board today who's created something very special. I'll let you run through that rest of that intro on that. But, I think it's a great tool out there, and this is one of many, but, I think, it really will resonate with people today, the conversation. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, great. So today we're going to reveal, essentially a tool for all of you home buyers out there. Now, this is whether you're new home building or whether you're looking at established market as well. So yeah, we'll get into that. So today we're going to meet Atul, who's the creator of a Facebook group called Property Insights. And at the moment, Atul, I think it's running just over 5,500 members in under 12 months, actually. So just over 11 months. And the reason we wanted to get Atul onto this podcast is really because what we saw in his Facebook group provides exactly, what we want to do and what we want to achieve in this podcast. And that is, it provides value. You don't have to sign up. You don't have to pay any money. You just go in and it provides value to you, and the people within the group provide value to one another. So I will let Atul give a proper rundown on it. But in short, Property Insights, it provides, for us, with all the Facebook groups out there that provide a bit of confusion and conflicting opinions and sometimes not quite factually correct, this one provides a reliable place for people, call it a one-stop shop, just to go in and learn about all things property. Okay, so that's established, new, and talking about statistics, market updates, and the list goes on. So, and as I said, it's all for free. So before we introduce the tool, if you want to know get to know myself or Darren a little bit better, just head back to the introduction episode, which is episode number 1. And then over to you, Daz, for the fee for the podcast, and then we'll begin.
Yeah, absolutely. So there is a fee. That is, if you're loving the podcast, please share it with others. And likewise, give us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate that. And hopefully, more people can get value out of the content we're providing. So, yeah, please share and share wide and alike. So thank you.
Good. So what we might do, welcome to the Home Building Hub, Atul. Please say hello and welcome aboard. We're happy to have you here, and tell us a bit about yourself and a bit about your history in property.
Hello, everyone. First of all, thank you for an amazing introduction, Colin, and thank you for having me on your show. I think it's an honor for me to share the screen with you guys, like legends like you. I never expected that I would be on a show like yours. So it's an honor for me. And for those who don't know me, my name is Atul Jamb, and I migrated to Australia around 16 years ago. And I started my property journey in 2010 when I purchased my first property. And like any other first-time buyer, I didn't have any property experience at that time, no knowledge at all. And being a migrant, I didn't even have any family to guide me through. So it was very challenging. And my property career started in 2015. Since then, I've worked in property finance, I've worked in land sales and new home sales.
Awesome, mate. And I guess, we'd love to grab some, info a bit about the group, Property Insights Facebook group. Tell us, mate, how did it come about? Like, mate, it's super impressive what you've been able to achieve so far. So,
thank you for your feedback. And Darren, I started this group around 12 months ago. Prior to that, I was actually an active member of many other groups. And what I noticed, I was getting a lot of attraction. Like my content was liked by a lot of members, and a lot of members actually started reaching out to me as well. However, most of those groups, had commercial aspects added to, like, attached to them. So it was very hard for me to share unbiased views. So, however, my aim was to help people selflessly without any monetary benefits. So it was very hard for me to share unbiased views, and that's how I got an idea to start my own
I think
group.
it's, and that's a bit of the alignment that we have as well, mate, is that, we often get asked, like, oh, what are you doing it for? Like, are you making money out of this thing? And no, we're not doing it for any of that right now. And who
Uh,
knows, the future's the future, but right now, that's not what we're about at all, and your group the same, and trying to give that unbiased view. Yes, we wear, different hats during, mate, got the suit on today. I'm off to work, mate. We've got things to do. But at the same token, we don't want to just talk about what we do. We want to talk about how we can add value to the customer. And really, what I've noticed with your Facebook group is exactly that, mate. And the information you're providing is fantastic. And I was luckily invited in by your old neighbour who actually used to work with Colin and I many years ago. So it's a small world, as they say, and he's now living in Queensland. He said, "You've got to jump into this group," and invited me in, and I've picked up some great value out of them, mate. And I really appreciate what you're providing, but the energy that you provide in the group is superb too, because it's not like you get something every week or two. It's constant, mate. You're the top of my feed on my Facebook, almost every day, and it's just superb, mate. And I'm sure that the members of the group are likewise getting value out of that. What sort of feedback are you getting there, mate?
I'm getting a very good feedback. A lot of people actually reach out to me to provide feedback, and also, if they have any questions, any queries, they come to me, and I'm more than happy to help them as well. One of the main motive to run this group is actually to help the members in making well-informed decisions in their property buying journey. The main areas we cover, as you know, I'm sorry, I have a bit of sore throat. So main areas we cover in the group are stats related to the property market. We share news related to the property market. It's kind of a forum as well, where people ask questions, and we try our best to provide them with the responses. And we also regularly conduct polls in the group as well to understand the buyer sentiment.
And I think with any of the stats, it's like anything. You can read into the stats whatever you like, right? And you can read positive or negative into any stat. I can find you a great news story and a terrible news story about this exactly the same subject. And I think that unbiased view again gives feedback both ways, right? What I'm seeing in the commentary is some of that feedback, like someone says, "Hey, that's really positive," and I see the upside in that, and someone else says that's really the opposite of what you've just said. So it is interesting seeing that
Mm.
side. The other part I really like, mate, is the fact that yes, acknowledged at the start of the show, you work for in the building industry, you work for a builder, as do both of us. But what I've noticed is that you're not just there trying to scoop off the top. You're like someone, and it was an example. You had somebody in Ballarat looking for a
Yeah.
Vastu compliant floor plan, and you're like saying, "Hey, you should reach out to this guy and this guy and this guy," right? And leaving it open to the group to help that customer out. So mate, it's just fantastic, which is what we're all about, I guess. And I think that's that generosity of what you're providing to the group members, mate, which is fantastic. So yeah, it's really cool, mate.
Thank you. No, that's how my group is a bit unique. It's different from the other groups because I'm trying to be very neutral, and I think it works. If I'm unbiased, people will have more trust in me. They will have more trust in the group. If I start selling something, or if I try to promote myself, people will lose the trust in me. So that's one of that is one of the way why this group is different from the other groups.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that's important because, as we'll sort of cover a little bit later, I find there's obviously no shortage of Facebook groups out there that people can join, but what stuck out for me with yours is that it's actually something we can recommend to our listeners because it's got the same belief that we have, and that's just providing value and
Yes.
objectively. Yes, we work for different companies and whatnot. We don't really mention that too often. It's more about we're
Yeah.
just putting the information out there because there is an opportunity for people and a gap in the market, so to speak. People just want to, there's so much to learn about land, there's so much to learn about new home building and real estate in general. So we sort of just felt that, I guess specifically in our industry, there's not much information you can go and get that is objective.
Yeah.
You can go to a builder that's going to be, pro builder, and that's as they should be on their own website. You could go to, one of 1,000 Facebook groups, but generally the negativity, that whilst they're created for the right reasons, that unfortunately the negativity comes over the top and starts drowning out the really well intended posts. And I chose this color, it worked out really well, and things like that. So I think your group just stood out to us in a big way because I think it's something we want our listeners to go and head to and join
Yeah.
and just learn a little bit more about just real estate in general, which doesn't benefit Darren or I, but it
Yeah.
benefits our listeners and our
Exactly.
viewers. So one of the things I noticed you posted, you you had written, which really resonated with me. This group is a platform to share knowledge with others and learn from others at the same time. And I thought that was pretty special how you'd written that because I think that's something I can relate to, and I think it's quite valuable how you've done it that way or worded it that way.
Thank you.
There are two areas I think that really stood out for us when we sort of went through property insights at Tools. So number one was the wide range of topics and the diverse level of information that your group provides. As I said,
Yeah.
it's not just new home buildings, not just real estate. It's a lot of market insights and stats and discussion around that.
Yes.
Number two, as I sort of touched on, is I could not find a single negative or aggressive post in your group. Now, so what I want to do is just talk a little bit more about those two things. So, wide range of topics. Can you give us a deeper insight into maybe a few of the key areas? So, if there's one, two, or three, or four, or five, even, what are some of the things that if people listening now what can they expect to see when they enter your group? So, what are the top three or so?
The group is like a news portal. So if you subscribe to this group or if you become a member of this group, you don't need to, jump onto the real estate websites every day to read the real estate news because we try our best to bring all the news, all the changes which is happening in the market. So that is one of the benefit of joining the group. And the second benefit is like if you have any property related question or if you have any query, you're more than welcome to ask it in the group. And we have many property experts who are already member of the group, like Darren and you. So we're more than happy to help people, and there is no fee for that. They don't have to pay any fee, and most of the responses are very neutral and unbiased. And the third benefit of joining the group that we share a regular insights and we provide people with data. And with data, they can make a well-informed decision. They know, what's happening in the market, what's changing, what's not changing. So those kind of
Do you
stuff.
get
Yep.
more engagement on some of that data stuff because you're sharing it all around the country, which I find interesting as well because we're both
Yes.
Victorian based and Victorian centric, and to some degree we try not to be on the podcast, but we kind of end up being that way because that's where our greater
That's what we
expertise
know.
is, right? But
Mm.
do you find you get
Yeah.
more focus from certain areas, or is it more Victorian based because you're
Yes.
Victorian based as well, or is there more interest in Queensland or New South Wales or South Australia or WA, or what do you see?
Initially, it was Victorian based because, as you know, I'm based in Victoria, like But then we started to get a lot of members from Sydney. And then that's when they started to reach out to me and they kind of complained that I'm just sharing Victorian data and not New South Wales data. So that's what encouraged me to bring, information related to New South Wales as well. And if you notice, every second post of mine is actually now related to New South Wales because we have over 1,700 members from New South Wales. And recently we have a lot of New Zealanders joining the
Yeah,
group as
wow,
well, people who want to, sh- you know, shift from New Zealand to Australia.
amazing. And do
Yeah,
you,
wow.
can you break down um, your members into whether they're first home buyers, investors, etc.? Like, do you get a breakdown of that, or it's more just by reading through the content and sort of picking up on that? And is there sort of skewed one way or another?
The only way to get an idea is by reading through the content, and I believe most of the members are either first-time buyers or first-time
Yeah, right.
investors.
Yeah, great. So really getting, on the
Yeah.
property ladder one way or the other, which is great. And again, that
Yes.
information just gives them confidence, I guess, to make a decision and proceed forward, which is fantastic. I think
Yeah.
another thing that I really like also is you do allow people to put their own posts up about, about selling a block of land, for example. So there's some great opportunity to buy some really good value blocks of land. And there's been plenty of people who bought land, and I've never seen, certainly in my time in the industry, not this level of growth of interest rates, right? So people bought blocks of
Yeah.
land 18 months ago or 12 months ago, and their circumstances have changed significantly because their borrowing power has gone right out the window. And so they're now in a position where they
Yeah.
potentially can't settle, and they're trying to get out of that block of land. And there's that sort of, somewhat of a marketplace going on the in within the group that I think is really quite beneficial too. There are some really good deals in there and an opportunity for people to you're helping them get out of trouble a bit, mate, which is fantastic because they bought it with an intent to often build and grow their
Yeah.
wealth, and the circumstances have changed, and that's okay. That's what happens. But that out is fantastic, mate. Again, and it's getting it in front of the right eyes, right? You've got 5,500 people who are interested in property. You're a chance of moving something
Yeah.
through there. So good.
Yeah, no, thank you. But Darren, I normally don't allow people normally don't allow real estate agents to
Yep.
post anything like that. Only if it's a buyer, who's stuck now because of the high interest rates, and if they're unable to settle, I want to help them. So that is the only way I can help them, to allow them to post it in my group. And if somebody is interested, why not? They can. It's a win-win for both. Both buyer and the seller, because the seller can get out of the contract, and the buyer can actually purchase the land, which was actually purchased 2 years ago, and they can actually save money
Yeah,
on that as well.
absolutely. No, indeed. How do you
Yeah, it's great.
how do you mitigate the negative posts that are going on out there right now?
Darren, as you know, you can't please everyone. But I try to make sure that the group remains free from negativity and conflicts. What I do proper research before I post anything in my group, because I know, people will come up with different ideas, and everybody won't agree with my post or my whatever I share in the group. So I do proper research, and if they disagree with me, they're more than happy to disagree with me. And if they disagree with me, I present the facts or the stats in front of them, and that's how I deal with the conflict.
Yeah, I think it's good. I think it's quite how you do that. I believe differentiates your group from the rest. And there are people out there who are with a particular builder or going through a particular company
Yeah.
that obviously want to join that group and find out, well, what are the negative reviews and what are the
Yeah.
negative comments they want to make the right decision for their own their own build in our industry. And that makes sense. But I guess before any of that happens, this group can help provide newcomers, first home
Yeah.
buyers, investors who don't quite understand the market. Should I invest here or over there? And it's just about gathering some intel and putting a bit more information into your mind before you go and get that proper advice. I think that's where the most valuable component of this
Yeah.
group really sits.
I
Um,
agree.
yeah, from my point of view, Daz.
No,
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely, and it is. Yeah, you don't want it to become sort of a bashing location because it can turn that way really quickly. So
Yeah.
you want to make sure that you're filtering some of that. There will be some level of that, but the ability to filter that within reason, I think, just
Yeah.
keeps people up and about. And the intention of the group clearly is to support people and give them an opportunity to
Exactly.
learn. They don't
Mm.
necessarily need. Part of that is, I guess, it's not always going to be perfect, right? That's the nature of the
Yeah.
journey of building and doing anything in life. Not everything's going to be perfect, but what it does,
Yes.
in trying to control that, does help people. Ultimately, we want people to own homes. Government's driven by that. People are driven by that. Banks are driven by that. We're driven by that. Generally speaking, there's
Yeah.
not a bad decision in owning a home. So, if we can sort of support people through that, in a I guess, a sheltered way somewhat, without too much negativity, because there will be bad experiences, but they tend to get a greater share of voice when that's the case. So, well done for trying to level the playing field in that share of voice space, I guess, which is fantastic. So,
Hmm.
where do you see the current market right now, Atul? Obviously, a fair bit of your data is wrapped up around that, and what you provide is in that space. And maybe touch on, some of the different states as well, because even from an investing point of view, I'm seeing a fair bit of talk around Perth and southern Queensland. Not sure your experience in that space, and I'm certainly not by any means an expert in either of those markets. So I'd love to see if you've got some
Yeah.
insights into that as well. But
Yeah, even myself, Darren, because I'm based in Victoria, so I've been observing Victorian market more than any other market, and I am very positive about Melbourne's property market because I personally believe that Melbourne kind of missed out during COVID. Melbourne didn't see the growth which Queensland saw or Sydney saw. So I think Melbourne's time is going to come soon, and a lot of buyers. When I speak to a lot of investors, I think they're just waiting for the interest rates to settle down a bit, and once it happens, I think we are heading towards another boom. And I personally believe if somebody has the serviceability, I believe this is better time to buy, to enter the market than to wait until next year.
yeah, good advice there, mate. And again, if you can buy now and interest rates do drop, the pressure comes off a bit too, right? And might allow you to be, making
Yes.
small
Yeah.
additional repayments and getting well ahead of your mortgage, which is, a smart way to look at it. So, um,
Yeah.
I noticed one of the stats that was talking about was looking at, maybe was it 2040 or 2050, and where the median prices is expected to get to, and it's amazing. I'm
Hmm.
going to say, and forgive me if I've got this wrong, but are we talking $4 million sort of Melbourne and Sydney pricing, something like that's a prediction by 2040, which would be just unbelievable to see that. Like,
Who knows?
very true.
That can that can very much happen, Darren. Because I'll share a story with you. In 2009 or 10, someone told me that the median price of Melbourne houses would be close to 1 million, and I started laughing. I didn't believe him. He told me it will be 1 million by 2020, and then I didn't believe that guy at that time, and now it's very close to 1 million. By 2020, I think the median price was over $900,000 anyways. So that guy was actually right, and who knows, the same thing could happen by 2040 as well.
It's interesting, mate. In 1998, which seems like a hell of a long time ago now, I bought my first place in Ringwood, and I paid
Yeah.
$130,000. And at that time, I reckon I could have picked up about 100 homes under $100,000 in Ringwood.
Yeah.
Mate, you're $1 million price tag in Ringwood now. Like the same, my first place, I reckon's probably it'd be worth 8 to 900 grand now. And you just go, wow, like. And in that time, what it
Uh,
does is it gets you on the ladder and it gets you a great opportunity to grow. And Ringwood at that stage was a little bit out of town. It wasn't crazy out of town, but it was still an outer suburb, and it was a move from an inner suburb where I lived to an outer suburb. But you see that growth. We doubled our property price in 5 years in that time, so it was a fantastic time. But we've seen it time and time again. Like you buy a house and doubles in value in a short period of time, and I think you're 100% right. I think it will continue to do so over this next period. And again, what it means is people need to look at alternative ways of buying as well. So they'll end up buying a smaller
yes.
property, or they'll buy an apartment in the city to get on the property ladder, and then grow with that. Use that money to buy the next place, and then use that money to buy the next place, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't mean it's unachievable. It just changes your approach to what you need to do. Which is great. So yeah, it's certainly fun and games ahead over the next few years. I think I do agree, and with the population coming in, and migrants coming into the country, it's
Yes.
never
Yeah.
been set up better for the next wave to ride, I guess. So, what are your thoughts there, Cole?
Yeah, I agree with all that sentiment for sure. It's and I guess stemming from what your group provides, you can at least give people the insights into those situations for them to go and make their own call. I was probably just more leaning on asking you, Atul, what. So if you mentioned first home buyers, it's very valuable for them. It's
Yeah.
going to give them some good insights, but also investors, because they're trying to
Yes.
work out where do I invest and things like that. What, in your experience, right here, right now, if we've got a first home buyer listing and investor listing, what advice would you give to them specifically right now in today's market?
Well, there's a saying, it's about time in the market. It's not about timing the market. And I completely agree with that. I think a lot of people are trying to, time the market. It's very hard to time the market. I personally believe it's a very good time to enter the market, like I previously said, especially Melbourne's market, because Melbourne is very much affordable. It's a world-class city. It has won number one city, many times in the last few years, and I think it's still very much affordable. I got an opportunity to visit Canada last year, and the property prices over there were ridiculous. And I think I can foresee the same thing will happen to Melbourne in next 5 to 10 years. I think we shouldn't wait to enter the market.
Yeah. No, that's good. What about this one? I hadn't written in the notes, but what's the plan for the group that you've got? 5,500 members in under a year. What do you have any future plans for it in terms of different types of content, or you just plan to build the group and just continually repeats to provide value from the people within it as well?
Yeah, I'll continue to provide the value, but my next target is to grow that group to 10,000 members,
Yep.
which I think we'll be able to achieve in the next maybe 8 to 9 months, because we are adding close to four to 500 members every month.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
amazing. It's
thank you.
excellent. Just goes to show what people are looking for. I think it's really important. So, anything else to add, Daz, before I wrap this up?
Yeah, I think so if someone wants to join, I was obviously invited to join the group, and then I invited Colin to join the group. So if someone is, listening to the podcast and wants to join the group, do
Yeah.
they need to, because I like I say, mine just came in as an invite, so I've not looked at how that occurs. So if I look up Property Insights and I find the group, and obviously we can put some information about that also on our webpage, to try and direct people to that. But do they need an invitation to join the group, or can they put their hand up and say, "Hey, let me in,
No,
let me in. I want to find out what's going on in there, mate."
all they need to do is to find Property Insights. They need to search Property Insights in Facebook, and then they will see a blue color logo, like blue color screen, page saying Property Insights with over 5,000 members, and that's how they can find us. But I'm more than happy to share the link and QR code as well to join the group.
Yeah,
Yeah,
fantastic,
great.
mate.
Yeah, we'll pop that link on the bottom of the episode notes on YouTube and the podcast ones as well. So, well, geez, you go through 27 minutes pretty quickly, but Atul, I want to say thank you so much for joining us. I know it's your first podcast, and I think just quietly you've done very well.
Thank
And
you. It's my pleasure.
we didn't even make you and prompt you to call us legends. You hear that, Darren? I was thinking about getting up and opening the door just to let my head out a little bit. Yeah, so I'm
Very
not
humble,
sure.
mate. Not sure we're
We could probably
legends,
sit in
but
that category. Yeah.
I'm very humble as well, and as I said, I'm very lucky to share the screen with you guys. I know Darren from many years, and I've been following him a lot. Actually, he might not be even be aware. Actually, I know his journey.
no,
So,
thank you, mate. It's
No, it's
no,
great.
and what ends
Yeah.
up happening, I think, in the industry, and it's one of the great things of the industry, is you end up making a lot of friends. So people you haven't even worked with, and that's all, we've never worked together, but we bumped into each other here and there. And like I said, you end up being the neighbour of one of my friends who ended up working for me, and you just get these little introductions and things happen along the way, and next thing an opportunity like this comes up where we're getting great value out of your Facebook group, and hopefully, we're able to provide value to some of your Facebook group members through this same podcast, and they can go back, and if they're a
yeah,
bit confused about some of the journey of building a home, they can go back through some of the 101 sort of tips that we've given throughout and pick
Yeah.
up some really easy value. And that's what it's about, and it's about sharing. So likewise, that's what your group's about. That's exactly what we're about. So that collaboration today, mate, for us
Yeah.
is fantastic. And, we really appreciate your time and look forward to hopefully in the future getting you back on the podcast as the group grows. And maybe we'll have a bit of a celebration when you get to 10,000, mate, or something on the podcast and do something with that. It'd be really cool, mate. So.
Thank you. No, I did hear, I did listen to a few of your podcasts, and I think it's very similar to what I'm doing. It's just your way is a bit different of doing things. You are doing it you're making videos, whereas I'm just sharing data. But I think we both of us are trying to achieve the same thing, is to educate buyers, and I think that's amazing,
Well
actually.
done, mate.
Yeah. Yep, totally agree. Well, folks, there you have it. So make sure you jump onto Facebook and you type in the search box Property Insights. There'll be a blue logo. It says Property Insights, over 5K members. Jump on there and join that group. So it doesn't matter if you're looking for established or new property or land, anything in that mix, then get yourself some education in there. You won't be meeting, too many negative comments and stuff like that. You'll just be there. It'll be some productive, I think, helpful insights for you. As for us, just because we're a little bit greedy too, we'd love for you, if you enjoy the podcast, to jump on, give us a 5-star review on whatever platform you're listening on. If you've got any questions, topic ideas, anything like that, please jump onto the website, homebuildinghub.com.au. And there's a little contact us thing there. You can leave a question for us. We are starting to talk to a few different people now, Daz, aren't we? We had a girl from Queensland last week we had a good chat to, and things like that. So we're happy to have those discussions with people. But other than that, I guess to finish off, I just want to make one thing clear to all the listeners, that this podcast is about providing value to you, and that should not be considered as legal or financial advice. Contains general information only, and you should seek out your own independent professional advice on your personal situation before any financial or legal decisions are made. So awesome. Thanks for your time, Atul. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Colin, and
Good on
thank you,
you, mate.
Darren.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.